I'm David Denault.
And I'm John Gomez. Stand by for part 4, Destination Mars.
This is a special report from About Space Today.
Thanks for joining us today. If you listen to our first report on Elon Musk's vision of colonizing Mars, today listen to Musk's warning of why we need to be a multiplanetary civilization. David, I think Elon Musk brings reality to his plans to establish a colony on Mars, and why?
In another 500 million years or so, the sun will expand and probably evaporate the oceans and make life impossible on Earth, which means that if it had taken consciousness 10% longer to evolve, it would never have evolved at all. And I wonder how many dead one-planet civilizations there are out there in the cosmos that never made it to the other planet and ultimately extinguished themselves or were destroyed by external factors. Probably a few. Channeling Carl Sagan. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of competent religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. This is not true. Mars.
Well, I think Musk makes a very convincing argument, but is it practical? It's just not for radiation alone, but it's also the temperature swings and the violent sandstorms. They're just some of the major obstacles.
Yeah, David, and I think one of the hallmarks of SpaceX, and you and I have both been present for launches, and one of the things that we've seen from them is their ability to adapt. If you look at the Raptor 1 engine, it was a gaggle of pipes and running parts and all this. And then you look at the current Raptor, and it's been so streamlined and it's been so smoothed out, and it looks like this beautiful engine. I think that's a small example of what SpaceX is capable of. And I think that Elon Musk and his team at SpaceX, they're going to consider wild temperature changes. They're going to consider the durability of Starship. Because remember, when Starship goes to Mars, it's going to land vertically. And that I think is important because, like you said, they have these heavy, major sandstorms on the planet. So how do you adjust for that? Well, I'm sure there's going to be a tethering system in place because, again, this is a company that learns from mistakes, probably better than any company in recent history. And they're going to be ready when it's time to go to Mars, not just unmanned, but I think manned missions especially will be more prepared than any other astronauts have ever been for any mission before.
John, I want to come back to the Raptor engine. Isn't this the first engine developed that can actually burn in space?
Yes, it can actually burn in space, and we see that, and folks will see that anytime you watch a launch of Starlink or any other item or object that is going into space. It's called the MVAC engine, and it's gotten so streamlined and been updated so much that they have the precision that SpaceX has in the launch, the separation of the booster, then the payload deploying, and every step in between. You can watch a launch and know that at a certain mark, this is when the booster's coming back. At a certain mark, main engine cut off. At a certain mark, the MVAC engine starts. And quite honestly, David, I think it's a beautiful thing to see. It shows the quality and the craftsmanship and the time that Musk and his team have put into making these engines the best versions that they can be.
Even though there's never been a manned mission to Mars, back in 1984, the CIA found a different way to explore the Red Planet. According to documents declassified thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, the Central Intelligence Agency used a, quote, remote viewer, end quote, to see what was on Mars 1 million years ago. And what they discovered is mind-blowing, if you can believe it. In 1984, the CIA used a psychic, known as a remote viewer, to focus their mind on a location and a time and describe what they saw. The transcript of what that person witnessed on Mars a million years back was part of a large document dump. While the papers don't explain why the CIA wanted to see what Mars looked like a million years ago, they do show that the psychic saw civilization. The Matrix Disclosure discovered this declassified revelation, and here are excerpts of their findings.
Ingo Swann is mentioned in the CIA documents as the most accurate of remote viewers, and is no wonder that the CIA had employed him for various tasks that would otherwise be impossible to attain. In his 1998 book entitled Penetration, Swann offers extended details about the tasks performed for the agency. Given the bewildering imagery received from the Viking orbiter in 1976 with the surface of Mars, their focus immediately went in that direction. The initial procedure is detailed on the second page of the CIA document dated May 22, 1984. The body of the CIA document is a transcript of the responses offered by the remote viewer, referred to as sub or subject, to the inquirer, referred to as mon. Subject was unaware of the locations of the provided coordinates. Yet, his answers were extremely relevant. First indicated region was that of Sidonia, the spot where numerous structures resembling earthly constructs and monuments were identified. Here are a subject's first impressions upon remote viewing the site. I want to say it looks like a, I don't know, it sort of looks, I kind of got an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area. Further on, the remote viewer is sent about 1 million years into the past and is asked to provide details of the Martian population inhabiting the region, if there was indeed any. He then sees very tall and thin humanoids dressed in silk garbs.
Tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms.
Very tall, again, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because of their height, and they dress like in, oh hell, it's like real light silk, but it's not flowing type of clothing, it's like cut to fit. They were all sheltering from the devastating storm outside, and were looking for ways to escape the ruthless events that were sweeping everything on Mars's surface.
Move close to one of them and ask them to tell you about themselves.
They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age.
Tell me about this.
They're very philosophic about it. They're looking for a way to survive, and they just can't. In order to assure the survival of their species, the Martians have considered migrating elsewhere in the solar system. Some of them were lucky enough to do so, while others were still awaiting their brethren to bring salvation.
What is it they're waiting for?
There evidently was a group or a party of them that went to find a new place to live. It's like I'm getting all kinds of overwhelming input of the corruption of their environment. It's failing very rapidly, and this group went somewhere, like a long way, to find another place to live. The remote viewer then reaches what appears to be a spacecraft that had carried some of the Martians away in remote times. Their journey takes them to a planet with intense geological activity on the surface, where different species of plants grow, unlike Mars, where vegetation was missing entirely.
Okay, when the others left, these people are waiting. When the others left, how did they go?
Get an impression of, don't know what the hell it is. It looks like the inside of a large boat, very rounded walls and shiny metal. Go along with them on their journey and find out where it is they go. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not have it, and different kind of storm. Could this new place be regarded as Earth? Did escaping Martians transit through space to reach the closest neighbor planet in order to escape the ruthless calamities that were draining the atmosphere and resources of Mars? Are the pyramids and other ruins on Mars leftovers of this ancient species of gigantic humanoids?
I got to tell you, David, again, this goes back to our previous week's show with remote viewing and the possibilities of what Mars was like millions of years ago. It's fascinating. I mean, we're still learning things about our own planet. Like the Amazon, apparently, with LiDAR, they found that there were cities in what is now the Amazon rainforest with hundreds of thousands of people, who knows how long ago. We're just learning this about Earth. Imagine what Mars was like a million years ago. Was it a thriving civilization, or were they coming out of their peak and starting to fall apart? And what can we learn as a civilization from that past? And how we can grow and avoid maybe the mistakes that they made at that time.
Well, John, I think you're spot on with those comments. And About Space Today researches many topics, and we present the reports for you, our listeners, to draw your own conclusions and for you to follow up for yourselves.
I'm John Gomez. Thanks for joining us for Part 4, Destination Mars. And if you liked our programs, make sure you subscribe, give us a like, and follow.
From Florida Space Coast World Headquarters, for John Gomez, I'm David Denault.
This has been a special report from About Space Today.